welcome to the Sales Enablers Academy podcast. Today we have got Mr. 𝗘𝗃𝗲𝗿𝘆, who is the Managing Director for India and SAARC region for Case Constructions, India's premium manufacturer of construction equipment and a wholly owned subsidiary of CNH. Since joining CNH Group in 2012, Mr. 𝗘𝗃𝗲𝗿𝘆 has taken different positions at Case Construction. Over the years, he has developed proficiencies in business development, product and quality control, brand marketing, and dealer development areas. Having spent more than 15 years in the construction equipment industry, he has been recognized with the Business World's 40 Under 40 𝗀𝗶𝗿𝗆 Award, a testament to his leadership and impact on the industry. He is also a member of the Governing Council 2023-25 for ICEMA, Indian Construction Equipment Manufacturers Association, and serves as the convener for the Human Capital Panel for ICEMA, further contributing to the industry's growth and workforce development. Prior to joining CNH, he worked at Larsen & Toubro L&T in various roles. An alumnus of Indian School of Business ISB, he holds an MBA in Strategy and Marketing and a Bachelor of Technology in Mechanical Engineering. I have had the privilege of working with 𝗘𝗃𝗲𝗿𝘆 in L&T as well as CNH. 𝗘𝗃𝗲𝗿𝘆, welcome to the show and thanks for your time.
Thank you, Ravi. I mean, that was a very flowery introduction, but I'm plain happy to be with you, and seeing you flourish as sales enabler gives me immense pride and joy to see how you are succeeding in your business endeavor.
Thank you, 𝗘𝗃𝗲𝗿𝘆. That was very kind of you. And you have had an impressive journey, 𝗘𝗃𝗲𝗿. Various functions, geographies, responsibilities. And it's very rare at this age and this experience. You had the exposure of plant, quality, marketing, dealer development, and now sales, and now heading P&L. Along this journey, can you explain your journey and what is the key learnings in your very eventful journey?
Okay, so the journey has been quite exciting, like you mentioned. It started with fresh out of engineering college. I started with L&T, and I started in the manufacturing plant where I was responsible for field quality related failures. I was also had the opportunity to operate in a brownfield expansion that we had in the manufacturing plant. So it gave me a sort of a project management experience early on, including civil engineering. Then I moved into direct sales in the western part of India, from Mumbai to Goa, the entire 𝗀𝗂𝗃𝗿 belt, and was responsible for selling construction equipment there, which gave me tremendous amount of learning, challenged me a lot, and kind of laid the foundations of what happened thereafter. After that, I went to pursue my MBA in Marketing and Strategy from ISB, and after that, I was recruited by CNH in mergers and acquisitions initially, and I was responsible for the post-merger integration of a joint venture company that they acquired in India. Since then, I have moved progressively on the commercial side, in marketing, in sales, in dealer development, in product management. Then I kind of moved out of India domain and looked at product management for Asia Pacific, for worldwide. Moved as the global platform leader or R&D leader for a certain product line. Then moved into quality as a global quality director. And then eventually for the last 2 years, I have been responsible for the India business as the managing director here. So, journey has been across multiple functions, giving a flavor of various things, various aspects of dealing in a multinational environment. And I have been lucky in a way to experience all of that while still staying in the same organization.
That's really an amazing journey, 𝗘𝗃𝗲𝗿. I just wanted you to look back on your journey and find one thing which is common across all the departments. You will agree that the goal of the company is to sell more. any company. And the organization have many departments, and you had a fortune of touching many such departments. What is one common thing you felt is there or should be there to ensure that the organization's overall goal is achieved?
I think a common denominator across, it's not should be there, it is how any organization is based on. A common denominator is customer focus. If an organization is customer focused, then they succeed, they survive, they sustain. And if not, then eventually they perish. And the customer focus could be at each step. It could be in the plant operations, it could be in sales or marketing. Because at the end of the day, the whole idea, the reason why an organization exists is to deliver value to the customers. And I think that's one common denominator which goes across. In a multinational environment such as us, there is also a large focus on collaboration across functions because by design, by definition, it's a matrix organization. And you cannot simply dictate your way through because there are the checks and balances which are kind of there by design. And therefore, you need to work through influence, through collaboration, and that's what drives. And many a times, to drive that influence or collaboration, you need to have a data-driven decision-making approach. Otherwise, it's always one person's word against other person's word without coming to a sort of conclusion of what is the best or most optimal way forward. And therefore, from that point of view, I think the customer focus with collaboration across functions and a data-driven decision-making. This is what really stacks up as the key to success for multinationals.
Perfect, Shalabh. I think you have nailed it when you said customer experience. And I'll just add here, customer experience, both internal as well as external. There may be some departments who may not face the direct end customer, but they may service the internal customer who in turn services the external customer. Well said. And this one word is very key. And I recollect my learnings in L&T, where I spent many years, that we had a tagline, in service lies success. So very nice. I think people can take away that there are many departments who don't face the customer at all. I meant to say the external customer, but they have their own internal customers. And you're right. And the data-based decision is very, very important because there is no room for a personal feeling or an emotion which could be detrimental in the longer run. Chalab, since marketing has always been your chosen field, or you did your MBA from marketing and strategy, nowadays when I go to many sessions also, I find this term of marketing, sales and business development used very interchangeably and very loosely. Maybe you using marketing for sales or sales for marketing or business development. How do you very clearly and crisply differentiate these three?
Okay, so again, since delivering value to the customer is the end objective in the way any organization is structured, I'll start from that end. So sales is the act of closing deal and generating revenue by converting leads into customers. So you get leads and you are converting a lead to a customer. That is the act of sales. And that's the final leg in generating value for the organization or for the customer. If you take a step back, then marketing helps create the brand awareness, helps in generating those leads, which eventually the sales uses to convert into sales, for positioning the product and communicating the value proposition to the customer. Why should a customer choose you as a brand is where marketing comes into the picture. And the act of converting that lead into customer is really the sales. And then there is a business development, which is like the strategic expansion through partnerships, new market entry, and long-term relationship building. I'll give you an example. So for example, if Case is launching a new machine, let's say we launched motor graders and bulldozers some time back. So marketing creates the demand. It reaches out to customers, giving them value proposition that why you should choose a Case branded motor grader or a bulldozer versus other existing brands in the market. What's the real value proposition? Then the sales team goes and converts those leads into customers. And this business development team is exploring the new applications or geographies. So for example, whether we need to enter into the mining application, the mining segment, or we need to get into a different geography in India. For example, if we are not present in the coal field segment before, and now we need to get into the lignite mine in different sort of mines. So that application geography is covered mostly by the business development team. The marketing team helps create the value proposition for the customers. What's the reason why they need to choose us versus others? And then the sales team goes as snipers and converts those leads into sales.
Very nice, Alok. And in a very few words, you have comprehensively explained these three functions, which people interchangeably use, but the end goal is the same, but the flavor is different. Like as you rightly said, sales is always revenue generation, marketing is always opportunity generation, and business development is finding more opportunities. It is opportunity in the long term. It may be a different area, a different segment, different relationship which you need to enhance. And I hope all the people who are using it interchangeably, they can wear one person can wear different hats at different times. For some companies, they cannot afford all the three roles. So one person can do, like we have done during our initial days, we have done all the three roles. We have worn that different hats at different times, but they should be very clearly aware that what they are doing. Very nice. And one more thing, Chalab, I have seen nowadays people, using this comprehensive term of marketing without going into the details. Marketing itself is such a huge department. Like there is operational marketing, there is brand marketing, there is product marketing, there is pricing. So being a head of marketing for such a large organizations, and for a company like CNH, which has got presence in about 190 countries, how do you just, for the benefit of the audience, tell the various aspects of marketing, various sub-functions of marketing, and which function was, I would say, most interesting or more challenging for you?
Okay, so it's a very layered question, Ravi. I'll try to break it down into three aspects. First is operational marketing. Operational marketing is something which deals with branding, promotion, lead generation, and marketing outreach in general. So that kind of forms operational marketing. Then there is product marketing, which talks, and this is mainly for product companies like us, which talks about the positioning, the messaging, the technical feature differentiation, which can be in the form of features, benefits, and value added to the customer. And then also customer education, which could be in terms of training, it could be in terms of giving them tips, techniques on how to increase productivity or value, generate more value from the product. So that's where product marketing lies. And the third is pricing. And pricing is sometimes people confuse pricing with cost. It is not. They are completely independent of each other. And pricing is more from, let's say, competition benchmarking, doing the cost analysis, and you should be aware of that. And then the market dynamics of how that is changing. Your competitor may not always be a person selling a similar product as you. It could be somebody who's selling a very, very different product as you, but that dives into the overall market dynamics from a value to the customer. In these, if I see the challenging aspect has always been the pricing pressure, which is on the commercial team, and the customer perception management, because behaviors, customers' choices are sometimes rational, sometimes irrational, which are rooted in years of experience, exposure with certain brands. So for example, if a customer needs to buy a road roller or a compactor, they would always come to us. But if they have to buy a backhoe loader, or if they have to buy an excavator or a grader or a bulldozer, the different products that we sell, they have different brands of first preference. And then you have to find a way of how you convey to the customer that you are offering probably a superior value than the others. In the interesting part of it, from a marketing point of view, is, I think, storytelling. Because at the end of the day, the product that you sell is not just a product, but it's an experience that you are telling to the customer, and that usually gets conveyed through the storytelling. And this is how, in fact, our Indian culture is also rooted. I mean, if you look at the way we have grown up, all the stories that we have heard of Ramayana, Mahabharata, I mean, all the mythological tales that we have heard, we know many of those things because they have come through generations to us in a storytelling format. If they would have simply gone that you should be honest, you should tell always the truth, these kind of didacts, then it's probably difficult to sustain it. And extending the same in our marketing world, if you start telling those stories to the customers that how our equipment, how the equipment of the customer is an enabler of progress of a country like India, that's where the real difference lies from a storytelling point of view.
Very nicely said, Shalabh. The operational marketing where you tell stories, you take your brands, the product marketing and pricing where you very objectively, without getting biased and getting the true information of the pricing, normalizing the products. Very nicely said. The product offering could be very different and the pricing could be different, but you as a marketing person should normalize the price in such a way that the denominators is the same. And also storytelling concept. So I just wanted to bring the attention to all the viewers and listeners and all the new talent which are into sales and marketing. Marketing, it's a very, very big ocean, I would say. The product marketing and the pricing itself is a big department. The amount of bandwidth you require to do justice to this is very large. The operational marketing where you go and you create events and you do stories and you create the leads is one more aspect of it. So, and the product marketing also, one has to have the flair of technical knowledge to compare the specifications and to see which product is ideal for the customer. So yeah, if this particular thing is understood by the aspirant of getting into marketing, that there are various departments, they could do good justice. One problem always is there in marketing, which I have seen when I was doing marketing after sales, is showing the efficacy of the activities. Many times what you do today and how it impacts the customer and how that will influence his buying decision is very difficult to measure. And people are always, when they spend in a management, when they want to spend money, always want ROI. So having seen both sides of the spectrum, being a person in core marketing for many years and now heading P&L, how do you solve this dichotomy as to whether you should take care of your gut, whether you should go purely on ROI, or is it a hybrid model?
I think is a little hybrid, but usually the more data-driven you are, the more effective you become. And we need to see effectively the ROI on campaigns. The ROI, the return on investment of campaign, doesn't necessarily have to be in terms of conversion, because at the end of the day, conversion is an end product of multiple actions that happened before. And conversion kind of translates into market share. So if you really look at market share, and the way we break down the market share of any product is basically a multiplication of participation rate and conversion rate. Participation rate is of the total machines sold in a month or total products sold in a month. In how many product sales were you present? Whether you won or you lost doesn't matter, but whether you were present in that or not. And that is where your participation rate lies. And the conversion rate is from the funnel itself. So how many leads entered the funnel, and of those, how many you were able to convert. So it's kind of the lead to sale ratio. The ROI can be on the participation rate also, which doesn't necessarily mean that you generated revenue out of that, but it's a part of the leg, which if you don't do properly, your conversion will suffer eventually. So participation and conversion both can have an ROI on the campaign, not again necessarily on the dollar value or rupee value. It could be in terms of the conversion values as well. To measure it effectively, there are digital tools, there are CRM systems that companies use to measure the lead management and how a lead flows through the sales funnel as we say that you have so many leads, and eventually you keep filtering them. You make qualified leads, and then you make hot, cold, and warm leads, and then hot leads get converted into a sale or a loss of sale, either ways. But it gets converted into something which is more tangible. And this is what the sales funnel really looks like. But for all marketeers, I think the real challenge lies in quality over quantity. Sometimes in our aspiration of trying to do more, we generate much more quantity, but 10 high potential leads, if you really look at it, are worth much more than 100 unqualified ones. So this is where the real skill lies of a marketeer on how you design your campaigns in a way that, one, there is a ROI not necessarily in terms of rupee dollar value, but also in terms of the breakdown of participation and conversion, where you focus more on quality and less on quantity.
This is wonderfully answered, Kshalab. One of the best answers I've received for this very tricky question. You have very nicely broken down as to the end result of conversion may be in your favor, may not be in your favor, because it have various, I would say, factors such as the skill level of the person who is converting the salesperson, the organizational pricing, brand image, and the organizationals and the competition's disruptions, or the competition's going extra step to give a better price and take it. But the ability to generate leads and participate, to fight, is one of the biggest, I think, measurement of a marketing campaign. And if you have done your job of fighting or bringing in those leads and trying to document them, which has come purely because of marketing, is one of the best measurement of marketing. And yes, this is very nicely put. And then you have also mentioned very nicely as the quality over quantity. Yes, because it's all about the quality. There could be unqualified leads, as they could be hundreds of them. But I find a very interesting term of ROI and ROTI. So ROTI is return on time invested. You could do a marketing campaign with a lot of time and taking bandwidth of many people and spend the equal amount of time, but there could be some other marketing activity where you could spend the same money, but with less bandwidth of people, and then you have more time to do other things. So time is also a very important factor. There quality comes a lot. So I think you are very right. The marketer should focus on what is the opportunities they have generated, and there are various tools to document them. And I have also seen, Shalabh, some opportunities which come can fructify after a year also. So many people do the mistake of generating an opportunity, see that the opportunity has not fructified, and leave that opportunity. Had they just persisted and kept in touch for a year, that opportunity could have come in their favor. So very nice, Shalabh. That's very nice answer which you said, and there has to be an ROI, but it's the hybrid one. You also had a disclaimer that you also had the gut feeling that something is going right. A very important thing which we see nowadays is most of the network channel partners who are working today in many capital goods industry, not necessarily construction equipment, but capital goods. I find them working in wafer thin margins, global pressures, the currency and geopolitical disruptions. So whenever you go to them for any marketing spend, which gratification may be uncertain, the benefit may be uncertain, they always shy around investing for this. They want immediate gratification on sales. The common thing is said that we don't know how this spend will translate into business. So what is your advice to them for spending the amount on marketing, which definitely, as theory says, as practice says, is a must for growing?
I think without marketing, sales is just an accident, which may or may not happen in your favor. So it's very, very important for the dealers, even though the margins are thin, you need to think of strategies where you can do cost-effective marketing campaigns and generate the right amount of funnel, right amount of leads in the funnel. It could be through localized marketing activities. It could be leveraging digital marketing, which has now the benefit of being hyper-local in the way you can target your potential customers in and around your catchment area. So that's a benefit that comes from digital marketing. It is cost effective and also generates high reach for the campaign. you can also invest in customer education, which could be through product demos. And nothing convinces more a customer than seeing it with their own eyes, that a particular product is superior or inferior versus the competition. So those demos really help in generating direct value in a lead generation. The third thing, which I would say is, it's practically a rule of the game for the industry with wafer thin margins like ours, is where you do co-branded marketing activities, where the OEM like Case Construction and the dealers, they share the marketing spend, and they do joint campaigns for combined growth. Because a sale of a product or an equipment is not just a win for the dealer, it is a win for the company as well. And if you do joint pursuits like these, this is where you start leveraging each other's strength in terms of structure, also in terms of the execution capabilities from a dealer point of view, whereas you are sharing the cost among yourselves. And then if you generate the ROI of the campaign and generate these insights, this gives a reinforcement to the channel partners that whatever you did, the investment that you did, resulted in so much as a value add. And I think this is one leg which many a times people miss out. But unless you close the loop with a feedback mechanism, you will not be able to plant the seeds for future marketing activities and interest from the dealer partners.
Very well said. And to summarize, very nicely said, you had said marketing is a must, otherwise sales is an accident. Very rightly said. Second, you said a very important point, that marketing need not be always a high spend activity. There are various low spend, high value activities which you can begin with. Third, there is always a need for co-branded marketing, where people do share the part of the cost. And also, Shalabh, I would like to add, there are many dealer channel partners who have got multiple businesses. They can always try to leverage their multiple businesses and do a common marketing so that the cost per unit comes low. So you said do marketing in such a way that you share the cost among various departments, various line of businesses with the principals, with the OEM. And fourth, always measure to see where you're going right, so that you can do more of doing what is right and avoid doing what is not working for you. Fantastic, Shalabh. I think you have nailed it in the 4 very crisp points. The last 2 questions I would like to add here, with the psyche of the people, this young talent nowadays, industry is talking about less talent across the spectrum. At one end, we say there is no jobs, and other end, this industry is facing a lot of talent shortage. When I see people always want to do marketing when they come out of an B school or an engineering college, a reputed engineering college, because they feel sales is something underrated or not very glamorous, whereas marketing is glamorous and you do strategy. I have different takes on it, but before I have my viewpoint, what is your viewpoint? Whether the person should go directly to marketing or should try out sales first?
I think you cannot escape either one of those if you are getting on the commercial side of the business. If you are a salesperson, you will need to deploy the strategies of marketing. Otherwise, you will never be a successful salesperson. On the other hand, if you are a marketing professional, and unless you understand the pain of sales, you will never be able to devise marketing strategies which are effective and which yield results. So I think one without the other doesn't work. The timing, the self-discovery of each individual could be a different path. You can first start with marketing, get into sales, come back into marketing, or you can start with sales, get into marketing and come back into sales. Sales brings the kick because you are able to convert something, and the moment you convert something, that gives you a sense of gratification that all the effort culminated into something which is tangible and measurable. Whereas marketing is not so much, but marketing generates a sense of satisfaction that you enabled someone else. It's like the center play on a football pitch, who kind of creates the passes, the moves for the striker to strike. And even in a football match, you would see that sometimes people move and they switch places based on the stage in which the game is. And again, so I think as a summary, one without the other can never be extremely successful. You have to go hand in hand.
Very nicely. You very smartly made it very inclusive. but my take is slightly different here. I'd say, yes, I agree with your part A. Part B, I'd say you always begin with sales because your ego is less. You can run around, you can learn, and then go to marketing with all the insights and do a good job. The vice versa is also good. But then once you have a little bit ego and once you are growing up the ladder, then going back to sales may be a bit difficult. But yeah, you're right. Either works. You can discover is a self-discovery. So a couple of last questions before we close this very interesting discussion. You had done marketing and strategy in a very premier institutes like ISB, where you had gone to the grind of various case studies, international case studies, and you came into the real world of business. I'd like just to throw light on what you learned and what you found or what you're finding. Either something which is very relevant or you find there's a big gap between the what is being taught and what is being experienced.
I think it's not, I mean, in the modern age as academia and the real world, so-called, they are coming closer to each other. So those bridges that the gaps which used to be there in the past are getting bridged much better now. From my personal experience, the academic rigor that we went through for a year or so at ISB, it provided us with the frameworks, the case studies, and the best practices of different companies, different contexts, looking at those global case studies, Indian case studies, and seeing how different organizations or people emerged either victorious or emerged more experienced, I would say, that what didn't work. And that helped build a way of thinking. It also built a high pressure environment. So you try to get a feel of it that once you are out in the market, in the real world running around, it doesn't come across as a shock to you because you are already attuned in a high pressure environment inside the academics. When you come in the real world, the decisions are mostly made on incomplete data. So the frameworks, the case studies that you learned in MBA are not exactly one-to-one replicable because of this fluidity and ambiguity which is there in the real world and the unpredictability of the market too. And you need to find a way of how you bridge that gap again through self-discovery to some extent. But academics provide you the right structure, the right framework to think. Real world teaches you how to use that framework within an ambiguous, fluid boundary conditions. You learn that through soft skills, through relationship building, negotiation, influence, like I mentioned, in a matrix organization such as in many multinational companies. And then you bridge that gap because at some point in time, at a subconscious level, you're always thinking of that framework. And you try to use data, whatever data is available, to use data-driven insights to apply in the real world. You will most likely never get the entire data. So you will need to take a leap of faith beyond a point and then go with your gut feeling or the experience from the past similar situations.
Very nicely said, Shalabh. You are being taught something, but you should be prepared for the VUCA world. Volatile, yes. Uncertain, complex, ambiguous world. And very nice, nicely you said it. And you always have the knack of making complex things simple. You have the ability to be cool under pressure. You have the ability to extract the incomplete data to come to a very logical and convincing solution. And no wonder that is the reason why you have grown so fast in such a large organization, and people at across levels have endorsed your skills. And I have the privilege of working with you. I can have a disclaimer or a disclosure to say that I worked with you as a colleague. I worked under you where I learned a lot of things from you, and now I am taking your insights to the world. And I have this privilege of seeing you very closely, so I can really vouch for these qualities. So finally, my request to you would be to give a word of advice to these aspiring people in today's generation who are taking the job in B2B sales, marketing, business development. And many people are finding it very difficult because the complexities are changing at a much faster rate than what it was. the uncertainties and the volatilities and the things like AI are making various job roles might be redundant in near term. The person who had got the ability to do a wonderful PPT or articulate himself may no longer be the X factor for growth in future. So what is your final takeaway for people to remain relevant and to grow?
Okay, so I will break that. Like you said, it's a VUCA world, and we are seeing a disruption coming with AI as well. From a marketing perspective, since we discussed mostly that, I would break it down into 3-4 points. The first and the foremost is you need to understand your customer deeply. What are their pain points? What are their aspirations? What are their decision drivers? Understanding that is from where the entire thing starts. If you don't know that, you are always shooting in the dark. It's like a carpet bomb that somewhere it will blast, somewhere it may not, and then that is all wasted effort. So it's extremely important to know the customer deeply. Second is to remain rooted on the basics of pricing, basics of marketing, in terms of the perceived value versus cost, in terms of the ROI, the movement through a funnel of the leads, how the conversion is happening. So remain focused on your basics and keep getting a real-time feedback on the customer needs, because customer needs are never static. They keep on moving, evolving at a very, very rapid pace. And the same strategy of past may not work in future. The third thing would be to leverage data and digital tools. Digital tools like AI or other CRMs, which are now becoming more pervasive, are a treasure trove of data. But it's only data if you do not utilize it and make information out of it. And that is where the real skill lies, on how do you draw insights from the data that is available in the current world. And lastly, I would say that for everyone, to be a storyteller. If you do not know your story, what you are trying to tell, you are just selling the features, but you are not selling the positive impact, the benefit to the customer, how you are meeting again the aspiration, the pain points of the customer for their business. Because at the end of the day, their interest lies in running their business more profitably or in a better way, not so much as you are doing your story should weave into what the customer is really trying to get out of your product. So I think this is how I would like to give my 2 cents on for budding marketing professionals.
Yeah, there's 4 cents, Shalabh. And storytelling, I remember we do sales certification program, and we have an entire session on storytelling, and we are amazed by storytelling ability of Steve Jobs and some great brands. And they say the customer buys emotionally and then he defends it rationally. So many people buy the brand because of an emotional connect, which is not 1 to 9, it is 10. And 10 is not a number, or it's a beyond, it's like the ultimate experience. And the 4 summary which you did was, and you have the knack of making a very, very complex thing very simple. You said first is that you should, have the customer-centric focus. Absolutely. You can never go wrong when you are customer-centric. At whatever age, maybe it is Stone Age or maybe it is the 22nd century, because the customer only pays. Secondly, you said know the basics. Absolutely. Basics are very important. Third, you said is the ability to use technology. They say that AI cannot beat you. The person using an AI will beat you. So AI itself will not beat you. And fourth and most important, Shalabh, I really like this, is storytelling, because in today's world, the attention span of people are absolutely reduced. Even this podcast, which is about 30 minutes now, and only a few people will go through it, not because they don't want to do it, but because the time and attention people have nowadays is absolutely shrunk because of this so-called pressure which they have. So you need to be absolutely visually engaging, crisp, interesting in your storytelling approach. And I tell people that the storytelling need not be of 5 to 10 minutes. You can tell a story in 2 to 3 minutes. There are certain ads which tell a story in 45 seconds. So Shalabh, I would really love to have another episode with you on storytelling, but here I don't wish to extend it more than 35 minutes for the benefit of the audience. It was really a pleasure to have you here, hear your wonderful nuggets, your real life example. Keep inspiring us. Keep giving the new generation your wisdom nuggets, and look forward to have you again in one of these shows of Sales Enablers Academy. Friends, follow us in LinkedIn, in YouTube. We try to make sales, aftermarket, business development a really fun place to be in, whereas you enjoy doing that and you grow in your career. They say if you do what you love, you don't work for a single day in your life. Chale, any final comments?
No, I mean, I think that's the personification in you. I mean, if you love what you do, you don't work a single day in your life. And this is what I'm seeing you doing. And again, I would repeat that I am extremely impressed with your journey personally. And you are an inspiration for many of the people who have taken the leap of faith, moving away from a defined cash flow of a working professional to go into the unknown of the entrepreneur and living your life on your own terms. I think it's really truly an inspiration, and I'm very, very happy to spend this Saturday morning with you, and wishing you and Sales Enabler all the best.
Take a risk. If you win, you earn. If you lose, you learn. I'm learning and earning now. Thanks, Philip.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. 1 second.